Hey, what's up, guys? Today I wanted to talk you through this strength and squat program that I made for a CrossFitter. Not just a CrossFitter, it's my little brother. But basically, the question is as follows. The goal of the program is one, to build strength in the upper body to support all the gymnastic skills, and two, really push his squat numbers up. Both just like the absolute strength, the one and two RMs, but basically just the whole range of squatting. It's such an important movement in CrossFit. A lot of the movements in CrossFit are knee flexion dominant. So squatting is just like the better you squat, the easier the workouts will be. He basically started a year and a half ago with CrossFit. He spent the last year basically acquiring all the skills. He learned most of the skills. He's been focusing on Olympic weightlifting a lot. He also has been running some Wendler stuff on the side, so basically bringing up his pull, squat, press, which has worked well for a while, but at this point we're kind of seeing that he needs a little bit more focused attention to bring his squat up. He moves really well. He's got great mobility. He's a tall guy, yet he can get into all the positions quite well. Yet when we look at what happens when he gets fatigued or when the weights just become heavier, is he's starting to kind of shortcut his squats. He doesn't seem super comfortable in the bottom of the squat, so he can't really use that bounce either, which is going to help him in Olympic weightlifting and CrossFit overall. So basically we decided to take about 8 weeks to really dial in squat strength and squat technique. Now, one of the restrictions here is that he does really want to do 2 days of CrossFit every week, which happens with a lot of CrossFitters. They got into the sport because they really enjoy doing the classes with their friends. So that kind of limits the amount of freedom we have when it comes to programming. Also, we decided that he still wants to do at least 1 day where he does upper body strength and skill work. So we came basically to a 3-day program here where we have one main squat day. Now this day, which is probably going to be on Friday or Saturday for him, is really going to be all about bringing that leg strength and squat technique up. The other day, likely a Wednesday, will be the day where he joins class, because class there already runs a front squat cycle. So we add on some accessory work, and then early on the week, likely on Tuesdays, he's going to do some upper body skill and strength work. Now, I'm not going to go into this too much, but there's going to be some butterfly technique work, a little bit of just butterflying to get that skill down, some handstand push-up work, and then just some strict strength, weighted chin-ups, strict presses, some core work, straight arm push-down to really help with muscle-ups and stuff, and then some core work again, but we won't go into that too much. We'll focus on those other 2 days. Now, as I said, he spent a lot of time over the last few weeks and months working on his Olympic weightlifting and other skills, which is why we kind of decided not to bring those in. I'm expecting him to have enough touches on this in the classes, but just to be sure and to keep a little bit of power work in, we did add some power cleans and some snatch balances into the beginning of his squat session. So basically what he's going to do is he's going to work up to like an RPE 7 or 8 single on the power clean, just to keep some touches nice and fresh, but still move a little bit of heavy weight, and then some snatch balances. Basically what we did is we took one part of the movement that he really still needed to work on, and we'll use that as a bit of a warm up for his squatting stuff. So he does still kind of get under the bar, so he doesn't really lose the movement, although I'm not stressed about that anyways in about 8 weeks. But that kind of keeps some touches on it. Also, if we look at it, he is becoming quite well versed in the Olympic lifts, so I'm not too stressed about him being limited by technique at this point. I mean, he is still a little, but driving up his squat has a lot more priority. When we look at the squats, the way we set it up is as follows. We're going to take about the first 4 weeks to really dial in the technique and be very, very mindful of that bottom position. Therefore, we're going to start each squat session off with doing 3 sets of 5 with a 4-second break in the bottom at about an RPE 6 or 7. So something that's roughly heavy enough to really feel that there is weight, but not so heavy that you're going to compensate your technique in any way or form. So 3 sets of 5, 4 seconds in the bottom at about an RPE 6-7. So over the next few weeks, we'll add a little bit of weight to this and we'll decrease the amount of time he's spending in the bottom. So we're kind of keeping with that RPE number, but by bringing the seconds down and the weight up, it's getting closer to a real squat. Now, after that, we stick with the same weight. And to give you a reference, I would expect a 4-second hold in the bottom at an RPE 6-7 to be anywhere roughly like 50% of your 1RM. So basically what he's going to do after that, he's going to do 3 sets of 8 with 50% of his 1RM. To basically just accumulate normal reps. That means normal squat tempo, hit the bottom, come back up. Again, he's very capable to do it. He's just not used to doing it that much. So just getting a ton of volume in here. We're doing 6 sets here, all with a heavy focus on that lower part. Now, some of you might think that, okay, so he's not really getting any strength stimulus here, which I don't think is 100% true, but I feel where you're coming from. So which is why we added in to the end both a leg press and a good morning. Now, you don't see leg presses being used often in the CrossFit or in the functional fitness space. There's kind of a ban on machines somehow, yet I'm a huge fan of this. Basically what we can do is we can eliminate the lower back from the equation here, which especially for taller lifters quite often is a limiting factor in the back squats. So basically what we do here is we just isolate the legs and we just really push the legs here. I'm going to spend 4 weeks doing a little bit of hypertrophy work here, 3 sets of 10, RPE 8. We'll keep adding weight, just basically running a linear progression here over the next few weeks, and then we'll gradually bring this back down in the last 4 weeks. And same reasoning applies to doing a good morning after. So here we really isolate the hamstrings, glutes, and lower back, and just build that up separately, so we can basically work on all the different parts of the chain. So this is really his main squat day. Now, looking at how we progress this is basically the prescription of the power cleans and snatch balances stay the same. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't go up in weight. Like if over the weeks those power cleans just start feeling easier and easier, he's more than welcome to add a little bit of weight to it, as long as we kind of stick with that RPE 7-8 feeling. So nice and fast, can be a little bit heavy, but has to be crisp still. And as I said, we're bringing that back squat down in the tempo. So we're staying 3 seconds, week after 2, week after just 1, and just increasing the weight slightly. Now, I'm not expecting this at any point to become like a close to max effort. So it's still really like accumulating easy volume, and the focus, like the strength and hypertrophy focus, is really going to be around that leg press and good morning at the end of the session. Now, looking at the other day, so this is the day where he already does CrossFit class, where they run a front squat cycle. Here, he's just going to have to be very aware of how he moves. He's just going to run the front squat cycle here. And then we chose to add on some accessories towards the end of the session. Slightly more posterior chain focused here. So we're doing some Romanian deadlifts again, like focusing on that lower back. Now, to give him a little bit of space to auto-regulate after doing class, we're doing basically 1 set at RPE 8. And then he does 2 drop sets based on how he feels. He either drops the weight by 10 or 15%. And then we finish the day off with a superset of leg extensions and leg curls. So we really hit the hamstrings and the quads. Again, like working on those different parts of the chain between 2 and 4 sets. If it was a really easy session, or if they only did sprint work, or they did a bunch of upper body work in the WOD, and he has some juice left, he's more than welcome to do 4 sets of 10 and really hammer the hamstrings and quads. But if it was a very, very tough session, 2 sets of 10 reps at whatever RPE 8 feels like at that point is perfectly fine. If it's tough to do this as a superset, obviously he's more than welcome to just split them up. And then looking at this, ideally I would like him to push the Romanian deadlifts week on week a little. But again, as it's always after his front squat class, it's not mandatory. Like these are always suggestions. He should go by how he feels. And then the prescription on the leg curls and leg extensions basically stay the same. Now, we do still Just quickly coming back on some upper body work, we do still have a bunch of upper body work in that Friday, Saturday session as well. We do some weighted pull-ups, some weighted dips, again, really just building that upper body. I like to do this in kind of like a weighted calisthenics idea, because I do think it's slightly more specific to what we do in CrossFit. I have nothing against doing lat pull downs or bench presses and stuff like that, but because he is still like acquiring and mastering skills on the bar, in the ring, stuff like that, I do feel like this adds a little bit of skill acquisition as well here. So that's basically it. Obviously now we only have 2 weeks here. We'll add week 3 and 4. 4 will probably be a deload, and then we'll go into a little bit more of a peaking style session where we'll drop the reps, especially on the main movements like back squats and Romanian deadlifts. Probably the accessories will keep in slightly higher volumes, and then we'll see and try and push that back squat up. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to answer all of them, and I'll see you back for the next one.